Janie Bay, welcome to Challenge to Champion podcast.
Thank you.
You should feel quite honored. After my wife, you are the first female guest that I have on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. And I think
Same.
it's a cool thing to have creative people. And having a creative lady, I think it will make it a lot easier for me.
Yeah, but you speak to all sorts of different people here, right?
Yes, I speak to anyone that I find interesting
That's
or that I
cool.
think I can learn something from.
I heard Joe Rogan saying that the same thing the other day. Did you hear that? Did you hear him saying that on a...
Probably.
He said that they asked him, how do you go about this? How do you choose who you interview? And he said, anybody that I find interesting. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
How would you go about choosing guests if you had a podcast?
Interesting question, because I have thought about doing something like a show or something, TV show, but you need the right concept for something like that. I do really enjoy speaking to musicians because it's just the understanding of the things that we go through in life. So, but it's not exclusive to that. Video or actors, the film world, cinematography, all of that's also, I love that, and mental health. So, it doesn't have to be music, but it's definitely, I think there's a lot to unpack that people don't necessarily know about musicians and the music industry and how things work. So, yeah.
I agree, and I've had a couple of musicians on. One
Because,
of them
yeah,
is your hubby,
Yes.
and
And you lived with a musician
yes,
that we just spoke about.
And I was a musician.
Yes.
I actually
What
I
did you?
have-
I didn't ask you now. What did you play?
I have a grade 8 in drums.
Amazing.
I played drums for about 12 years, since the
That's
age of 12,
Yeah.
12 to about 24, and then it slowly weaned off because I went to study music, and I was in the industry, and I found it really difficult to visualize myself making a successful career in this.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a lot of empathy for any musician doing it full time. It's crazy.
I know.
It's such a difficult industry.
It's something that you don't switch off in your mind. You can't, because you have to, with an industry that's ever changing. I know it happens to a lot of industries, but music changes the whole time. And as time goes by, it changes even quicker. So if you look back 10 years, it may have taken 3 years for a new trend to come. Now it's like 6 months.
Yeah.
New trend, new sound, or maybe old sound, but say maybe in COVID time, like the hip hop beat sort of infiltrated the mainstream pop, with people like Tate McRae or that sort of feel. And now, very quickly, country has come back into the
Country's
mainstream.
taking over the pop world.
Yeah. I think it was kind of a plan as well, though, because something that happened to me recently is I had a show, and one of Spotify's representatives were there, and he came to me, and I already met him, a very cool guy, but he said that he's kind of been following what I do for a long time because obviously people listening, I'm a musician, I'm a singer-songwriter, and this is what I've been doing for 14 years. And I started writing in English, so I released music for 7 years in English. I don't like to be in a box, so I don't want to say that I'm in one genre. I don't like to do that. I'd say I've probably had the most under umbrella of pop music that I've released, but when I started, it was sort of like a acoustic, maybe a little bit country influence here and there, adult contemporary sort of sound, but it changes as you change as a creative, and things that you experience, things that you hear, albums that you listen to. And then I moved into Afrikaans music for a while, but doing it in my own way, because
Why was it? Why did you go to Afrikaans music?
so I it's not that I didn't want to sing in my own language, but for me, the strange thing about singing in Afrikaans is that there's been a certain sound that has been the commercial sort of sound, or this type of sound that you hear in Afrikaans for, I don't know, 30 years. And if you look at the rest of the world, you don't really get that. Maybe it's a traditional music that you get in a country, but you can go to the UK and people speak English and they sing in English. They don't say English music. You know, it's like you sing in English, but you've got all the different genres, and everybody's welcome. And if you like metal, then you go and watch the metal shows, and the metal bands, they make a living from it. Or if you're in a folk band, same thing. You sing in English, and you make a living from it.
Yeah.
You can sing in your own language in other countries, and in a lot of other countries, let's say, and all the genres live under your language. But in the Afrikaans community, it's sort of you have to do this formula, otherwise it's not going to work.
The language was almost also the genre.
Yeah, so it's like Afrikaans music is a genre, which is strange to me, because we are not all the same. We are not all... there isn't like a cookie cutter Afrikaans person. Like, people might think that there's one way, and it's a very
narrow-minded.
I almost don't want to say that because I don't want to offend anybody, but you have to go and open yourself up to new things. Otherwise, it's all that you're going to know, and that's all that you're going to think that it is. So that was for me a problem, because I was like, I don't want, there's enough people that's doing that sound. I've got different ideas. Like, why can't we look at what's going on, especially for a female artist? You know, that's something that I want to point out, because the rules aren't the same. And I'm not a feminist. I'm very much about being equal, but the rules are different. So let's say you take a band like Jewels Fantasties. Sorry, guys, you know, I really love you guys, but I'm just using you as an example, that they can go on stage, they can do whatever they want. They can drink, or they can throw people with beer. They can do anything. And they are an amazing band. I love their music. I actually think that they're a very good example of somebody or a band that took pop, they looked at what was going on in the rest of the world, like what's going on. Let's take this song from whatever America and sort of look at this production and use this for our song. So they were progressive with Afrikaans, because they are essentially a pop band, you know. And for me, it was like, that's more something that I feel like, for me, that's what I wanted. I want to look at what Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or whatever is happening at the time, and kind of see like, what can you know, there's a book called Still Like an Artist. You just take little bits of things that you like, and you can kind of put it in one song or in a production.
Yeah, everything is a combination of some previous ideas.
Yes, exactly. It's very seldom that there's a revolution of a new sound. Like Amapiano was something new that was formed in South Africa, and it's definitely, you know, gone international as well, but it doesn't happen that often. So that was for me the hard part of it. But then I released an album with the label that I was at the time that was still predominantly English, but I was encouraged by people around me that say, just do it in your own way, just do a song and see what happens. And the first song that I did was a song called Wag vir jou with Hunter Kennedy. And he actually wrote that song predominantly because I knew that he's so good, and he's from Die Jewels Fantasties, and he's a incredible writer, and I just thought, this is somebody that can help me. And then Fred, that's also in the band, and he's the producer, he was the producer that worked on this song. They can help me to form a sort of a sound that if the song does something, then maybe I can take it further. And so that song on streaming did better than the entire album. So it was like, okay, maybe I can do something fresh in Afrikaans. And it's not, I always want to just add that I'm not trying to bash anybody, because everybody should do what they feel is right for them. But that includes me.
Yes.
That includes, like,
Of course.
we should all be able to do what feels right in our hearts as musicians, write what we want and put it out as we want. And I'm very much, especially for younger girls, I feel like I want to help them to risk doing something that feels right, because we need Afrikaans music to move with the times as well, because otherwise I think it's just going to get stuck somewhere.
Yeah, it should keep evolving.
Be left behind or something, because the newer generations that's listening to Droom Syndroom and Van Pletsen and these guys that keep, like Jewels, they keep evolving, and they always doing something fresh, and they still work with the commercial artists as well. It's pretty amazing what they've been able to accomplish. But for what I wanted to say about female artists is it's harder for a girl, because in the Afrikaans community, because they still want you to look a certain way, stand a certain way, smile a certain way, do this, don't do that. Oh, you can't move like that because then you're a this or a that. You can't, like, that's what I mean. Is there's a bit of a cookie cutter person as a woman that they want you to be still as a female artist in Afrikaans. And
where do they get this?
It's a
look.
It's a formula that's worked for so long.
But that is based on the previous generation's success.
That's true.
Is that like,
but if
Juanita du Plessis?
Yes, I didn't want to say any names, but yes. So let's say,
and we're saying it in a good light. I mean, that she had a lot of success.
Yeah, so that's definitely sort of creating her feel of what she did. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. Like, that was actually creating something that was new at the time, right?
But the problem is that exists now.
Yeah. So
it exists already. Yeah.
So the monopoly, the guys at the top, I think I've got good relationships with all of them. So I'm saying this with a lot of respect. It's just that I don't think there would have been a problem for them to go, let's try putting this in a song, even if it's subtle, because Afrikaans people are generally more conservative, right? So you put bits and bits and bits of something in that's just like a little bit
pushing
different.
The envelope.
Yeah, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot, because now we come, like, we're like, okay, let's do something fresh. And then people are like, used to always eating a bord boerekos, and then you put sushi on the plate, and it's like, no, like, what is this? It's too much to handle. But if you just like the rest of the world, I think just bit by bit,
just add something small.
Yes.
Just add ginger on the side.
But now it's harder, and we're doing it. It just takes longer, I think, for people doing it in a bit of a different way.
You know what? I've noticed that progression in Mumford & Sons specifically.
Yeah.
I was an avid fan of theirs, especially with their raw sound. It sounded like it was produced in someone's garage.
Yeah. Or like a little house, a little windy house somewhere.
Yes, maybe in a wooden cabin or something. Yeah. And then it felt like a lot of production got involved, a lot of producing.
Yeah.
But it only took a bit of time for that also to grow on me.
Yeah.
And then I noticed, like, the judgment within myself. It's like, you can't judge it, just give it a bit of time.
Yes.
The same guy that the previous one is doing the new thing. It's the evolution of that previous artist. And just give it some time.
Yeah, because the thing is, we are not one-dimensional, and especially artists and creative people, we need to be able to progress, and we there will always be change. I've played around with different genres myself, because it's like, if it feels at the time that this is what I'm creating at the time, that it needs a certain sound that's maybe a little bit different. It's not going to fit what I did 3 years ago. We have been able to grow, and that's actually, I feel that's a blessing, like not staying stuck in the same thing, because that's the thing is, if you look at in like different industries, or if you look at the whole world, like you need to progress into certain things. If you an athlete, you need to get better. If you bodybuilding, you want to get stronger, and that's progression. So that's what I feel like that's obviously happening. There's more artists that's been, I think the alternative scene is like they are the forerunners to help the other guys actually to be able to, even if they're doing crazy stuff and they're singing like, you know, things that some people will think, oh, this is terrible.
They're going out
Facebook
on the limb.
Cancel.
They're going out on the limb so that you can go on the ledge.
So that we can actually just say, okay, let me just do something that's a little bit different, so that we don't scare people off. Because I think a lot of the female artists, especially that have come in trying to do something different, and it's very different, then it's you have to be a strong person to not feel like I can't do this because I'm getting too much hatred.
I wanted to ask you, how big of a role does self-confidence play in like releasing a new song?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably bounce it off some close people that you respect their opinions, but still at the end of it is you, and you're putting yourself out there with the writing and just with the overall sound of what you're doing.
So like I've said, I think I've done things a bit different than a lot of, I say, local Afrikaans artists have done it. But the only reason is because that I've always just followed my gut. So it's if it feels right, I've practiced it, and I've done it for such a long time, where if it feels right, I'm doing it. If it feels wrong, I'm not doing it. Okay, so for me, it's very important that the integrity for music stays there. It's never been about money for me. So this is just my personal life and my personal experience. But when I started, I made a decision that I'm doing what feels right to me, however that may evolve or change in time. I will almost, it's like a slow and steady climb for me in my career. It's not, which I think is better, because the things that you learn on that path is on that climb, like all the things that you experience. I mean, I started at the bottom. Like I opened for other bands. I lived in Cape Town, and when my brother and I kind of started gigging together in 2012, I think, we were very we wanted to be really good. So we rehearsed so much so that when we do go play, that it's because we're nervous, that we're almost not thinking about it. So we rehearsed hard. It was just me and him with our acoustics and me singing, and he played guitar, which also actually he's got very good musical talent. But he's a coder now, so family and kids, you know, like we said earlier, it's like sometimes you just have to choose to leave music because you want something different in life. Because this is like I say, it's in your mind.
Industry.
The whole time. Like, how do you keep on doing what you love? So for me, having all of the experiences helped my self-confidence, I would say, because if you just shoot out, if it's for some reason you put something on the internet and here comes the record label and they sign you and you sign it and you don't even know what it says in there, and you just kind of go on the roll with them and you start going to these gigs and you start getting these comments and you experience the difficult side of the industry, it's probably you're gonna end up at some point in a bad space. I think it's better to go through all the nitty gritties, and you at these shows, like you're playing like terrible shows, like there's maybe 5 people, or it's just a bunch of very drunk people saying weird things to you. I've many times I've had like people going, and it was usually men, sorry, but it would be a guy standing there saying, "Ach, wat gaan jy nou doen? What are you going to do now?" Like almost like what, like I'm just a girl standing,
to perform.
Yeah. I think when I was at about maybe 8 years, nine years of doing music full time, I was busy setting up my mic stand, and one of the sound guys on stage was like, do you know how to do that? Do you know how to put the mic stand up? And so a lot of things that you might experience, you need to be able to have true self-confidence, I think, to handle the industry, because it's not easy. It's not easy, guys. Like I don't like to say like you have to grow a thick skin or become hard, because I think I'm still very soft. Like I think I still experience things and I feel like that's tough to go through. But you need to be able to go through those things without gryping it up or pills or something, because that happens. It's in this industry. Don't look for the outside a confidence building. People aren't going to be able to build you up. So that's something that happens a lot, obviously, is all the praise that you get that goes to your head, especially if you go into the industry too quickly. So it needs to be true inner confidence to help you in this industry. Definitely.
And you're saying that most of that inner confidence is built through the years of doing the bad shows, of putting in the time.
Yeah, I think there's something that, my partner that was here, Dion, that you spoke to, something that we often say is, you are not your career or your talent. You as a person, you are not that. You are you. If I don't have my voice anymore and I can't do music, or I lose my ears, who am I? So who do I have value? Who do I have value for in my life? So that's where the confidence is. If that means you go, if you feel like you've got past trauma or issues, you go speak to somebody. I believe in therapy. I think I've been doing like some sort of therapy since I was 13. I'm happy that my mom sent me somewhere at times when it was necessary. So therapy was never for me like, it's, I believe it's there to help us, just like you go to a doctor or chiropractor or whatever. To keep your mentals in check is super important. It doesn't mean, I don't know why.
Do you think it's like cleaning the hard drive or flushing the system, or what do you think you get out of it?
Yeah, I think you go to the gym to be healthy. You maybe try and eat healthy to be healthy. Even if it's not, there's not something that you've had like a hectic past and you need to sort things out. Going to see somebody like a therapist or a psychologist, I think it helps you to know yourself. And if there's things that you don't even know, like you maybe not dealing with it in the right way or in the best way, they're there to help you with that. You live with yourself every day from when you wake up until you go to sleep, and so it needs to be a happy place in your mind. And I know that in the music industry, because there's so much rejection, and obviously in our world you post a lot on social, so you see those comments that people will leave there and they don't care what they say. There's a lot of people that just, they don't feel good about themselves, so they know there's a place where they can go and spew those things out.
How much do you look at that, and how much value do you give to those comments?
I guess I think I've actually been quite lucky that I haven't had too much of it. Obviously there has been, but it's you like, to be honest, you might have a moment where it's like, why did this person say this now? But luckily it doesn't stick with me long. It's like I see it and I feel a bit strange for a few hours, and then it's like, okay, cool. Well, this person doesn't know me. Like those are also the, like, if you go to therapy, I think you learn to listen to your good voice more, because the bad voices, obviously, it's if you keep on listening to those, you give time to the black wolf, then it's like that's the bad part. But you can learn how to listen to the good one, the white wolf or whatever. You go, if he says, no, it's this person doesn't know you, like you don't know who they are, their opinion doesn't matter. Like, listen to the people that's very close to you. If they feel like you're doing something that's maybe not good, but they're saying it from the best, they got your best interest at heart, then it's like, okay, I'll work on this. That's good. But I mean, we're making music. Like, for me, music, still releasing songs for me means that maybe there's somebody that's experiencing the same. Maybe there's people experiencing the same things that I have, or people close to me, and they don't have to feel alone, that they are the only ones. Because I think often in life we can feel like it's just me, like nobody understands. But people understand. Like, we do go through the same thing. So that's for me, it feels like that's my purpose in music is, and it's a wonderful responsibility to be able to feel like you want to share experiences, because you can't sit and talk to everybody, obviously. So this is me, I guess, in a way, being able to share with people in a bigger way and just say it's okay, like, and there's always hope, you know. I feel like in songwriting, for me, it's nice to be able to say this, you know, in the verses, this is like what went down, and this is the difficult part, but also keeping it open to not, you know, universal sort of outlook, so that different people
so it can be interpreted in different ways.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, I felt like with the lyrics from Spoegwolf and those guys, it's so vague.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time,
Yes.
because I really like the music, and I try to listen, what was he thinking?
Yeah.
Do you think it would improve or worsen the quality of the art when it is explained?
So there's people that have said that it's better to not ask the artist what a song is about, because then it's like, oh, I've always thought like this is like been my favorite song because I've always thought it's about this. And then you change the person's perspective on the song. Sometimes it's nice, you know, especially if you like a songwriter geek, or because I like that kind of stuff, but I do it myself. So for me, it's, I mean, as a consumer, sometimes it's like, I wonder what this is this about this or that? But for me, it's okay when I hear, oh, it was actually about something else.
It's just a curiosity.
Yes.
How did you get to these words?
Yes.
What were you thinking to write this?
Yes, and I'm like Spoegwolf, I'm not a very poetic writer. So I'm very much like write it and say it as it is writer. Like,
and are you writing based on emotions that you are feeling and trying to express that?
A lot of the time it's my own experiences or people close to me. So it's weird to say this out loud, but more than one therapist that I've been to have said that I'm an empath. So if you're an empath, you can feel what somebody is feeling that's sitting next to you. Like it's often happened to me, like I'm sitting and Dee is sitting next to me. I think maybe you're a bit more in tune if you know someone a bit better, but I would suddenly just start feeling anxious, and I'm like, is this mine? Is this my anxiety? What could be making me feel anxious? And then I'm like, I would ask Dee, are you feeling anxious today? And then it's like, yeah, my anxiety is feeling a little bit more. It's like, oh, okay, sorry, but yeah, okay, it's not actually mine. So for me, obviously, then people's stories, a lot of the time, if they share with me or I'm there when something happens, it affects me, and I can kind of take that because I felt
like channel that emotion.
Yeah, and channeling is a thing that it sounds all wishy-washy or whatever, but when you a creator, then I think it's got to be like that with other creators, that they've thought, where does this idea come from? Like, how did it just appear? How is it possible that just
and
this,
what is it? What is the idea?
Yeah, and yes, and whatever it is that you feel like this has come from somewhere, wherever it is, I do often feel like it's just passing through, like it's just an idea that came from somewhere, something that needed to be said, and I'm just trying to be obedient to the process to let this come through me. Because often when I finish the song, it's like, where did this come from? If I'm writing about something that I experienced, obviously it's, but if it's something that's, I have had to learn to write, because I write for other people as well. I like to get to know the person or the singer or the artist a little bit, so I can get an essence of them. So when they sing the song, that they can actually feel that it's their song. Like it was just from the beginning, it just passed through me, but it is actually theirs. And it's interesting because for me, it feels like when I write the song, it's not mine. It's like
you go into their situation.
Like it's more like I'm in their world, and I'm trying to create something that is them and that's theirs. And I've felt that I felt that more than once, and I feel it's very important not to just write something and say, here, go sing it. Like, walk the journey with them and be there with them, because it's personal, and it's like this song that they have to live with for the rest of their lives. So I think it's important to get the essence of a person, because it is theirs at the end of the day. Yeah.
You spoke earlier about not being what you do, not being your thoughts. I've struggled a lot with this. I've spoken to some people on the podcast about this. After my accident, I couldn't do what I previously did. And that creates a lot of confusion as to who you think you are.
Your identity crisis.
Yes, who do you portray yourself as? Because I'm certainly not that anymore.
Yeah.
So how would you describe yourself, or how do you portray yourself to yourself?
Yeah. So that's something that I've just done on my own, when I'm with myself in my own mind and heart, is if I had to lose music, I love music. It's an amazing gift. I feel music is such an awesome gift, right? It's therapy for people. I can't use music for my own selfish gain. Like, it's just not, I cannot do it. It's just a beautiful thing. But for me, it's if I had to lose the ability, over time, I have, figured out that it's not all that I am. I feel like I'm a good wife, partner to Dee. Like, I feel I have a lot to give. I have a lot of value, and I have a lot of love to give. I think I have good value for my friends and people around me, and my family. That's already a lot, because I have my family and a handful of good friends, which I'm very happy with. I don't feel like I have to have all of these friends, but I have a few really good friends that I can rely on. And so for me, it was a very, when I really first started thinking about who am I apart from music, I could really build that world where I realize, okay, there is more to a person than what you do. There's so much more. And this, I hope Grafi doesn't mind me saying this, but there was a time when we were sitting also at a table talking, and he said to me, I don't have any value for anybody besides music. And I said, but that's not true. That's not really true. You saying and feeling that right now just means that you just need to dig a bit more into who you are, because I promise you, you're a lot more than just music. You just need to find that space and realize what you are. And I think, it's a lot of time has passed now, and he's he's done a lot of work as well, and I can definitely see the change. But that is the thing, like you say, like it's very important to know your value apart from what you do, because otherwise that is, you're going to keep on looking for the validation from other people. We are more than just one thing. I could probably also quit doing music now and find another career or something. That will still not be who I really am.
But you know, I think also the problem is, and that is the one aspect, people looking at you and connecting you to what you do.
Yeah.
But the bigger problem is you do music for a reason. It gives you a outlet. It gives you expression.
Purpose, yeah.
I just want to touch on this. This has been one of the most difficult videos, interactions that I've watched from afar. I know you and Jan Blokas are also very close.
Yes.
But seeing him go through this difficult time, it was one of the most difficult videos. And I see a lot of myself in his situation.
Yeah.
But again, then looking at that, I feel privileged in my situation.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I think that is such a... He's literally sitting with the problem that he's losing some of the things that allow him to do the job that he thinks he's that person.
It's like I'm sitting here getting emotional about just thinking about, like, when I saw the video where he was talking about that he's starting to lose his hearing, I lost it. Like, I was just, you can ask we were sitting there, I was just like, I can't, like, it's like, that's obviously, like, life is unfair. It's just unfair. But something like that makes me think, like, the things that I sometimes worry about, it's just like, just puts it so very quickly into perspective, because he is one of the artists that sits and works the hardest every day at his craft. And he's done that for how many years? And it's, you know, it's what you say. Like, you think, like, why, you know, he's so amazing. Obviously, we don't always understand life, and we don't always understand why things are happening. But something that I can say is that he has done a lot of, he you know, as a very young guy, so far he has done a lot of, he's put out some good music. His last album is amazing. I love Vreemdeling. It's such a good album. But yeah, like, life is just strange and unfair sometimes. There's, like, you can't even explain it. We cannot understand it. But yeah, I mean, we still talk to each other and trying to encourage him, and he's amazing. And yeah, it is tough.
How much change have you seen in him as a person through this difficulty? I speak to a lot of people, and I say, sometimes, or most of the times, if you're able to look through it, that difficulty is potential. And that is, it's up to you how big that potential can be.
Yes.
And I think he's a great example of someone using that challenge and that terrible situation to evolve, to inspire, to grow as a person.
Yeah.
But I also do know that is not easy.
No,
He sits with that heartache. He sits with that.
Of course. And the ups and downs.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine. It's like, I can't even, but something that I think that is good, and it's obviously hard, like you say, but he's sharing all the parts with us.
Yeah.
That is, I don't even know what to say about it, but it's just amazing to think that he's willing to share when he's feeling at his lowest. And now he shared a video again where he's like, thanks for all your messages, guys. You've helped me to feel stronger again. And he's doing a push-up there. Like, he's like, hey, look, I'm fighting. And it's a beautiful thing that he's willing to share all the parts.
It's so honorable.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's life. And, I mean, he's sharing this on social media, and often we just want to see all the pretty things on social media, but
because that's difficult to watch. It was so difficult for me to go through that video because it upsets you.
Yeah, it does. And but I mean, he's sharing it with us, so I'm very willing to sit through it and go through the emotions with him. I will sit with him in person because he's my friend. I will sit with him and he can share all of it with me as well in person. But yeah, you were asking me about, like, as a person, how I think he's changed. I mean, he lives in Cape Town and we're here, so we talk, but it's like we don't want to impose. And when he's going through like his chemo sessions or whatever, I will check in with him and see how he's doing. But ultimately, I think it obviously changed him completely, as like from the absolutely completely. And all that I just want to do is I would just want to be there for him. Obviously you don't know with something like this how long life will still carry on. I just want to be there for him as long as I can.
Of course, yeah. I think also a lot of the times with my situation, it makes it a bit easier because everyone can see, okay, that guy's in a wheelchair. This is how I can help him.
Yeah.
I can hand him the cup off the top shelf.
Yes.
It's easy to see what he needs.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Is that okay for you? Do you feel like it's okay for you to ask for help now? Was it maybe difficult at a time, or is it okay?
I don't like it.
Okay. But
I like to be independent.
Yeah.
I'm not
always
independent.
Even before your accident?
Yes,
or did it
way more.
Okay.
Way more. I wanted to do my own thing.
Interesting, hey?
I left my parents' house the day after I wrote my last exam.
Yeah.
Like 20th November 2010, I left house. Straight after that, I wanted independence.
Yeah.
And that has always been something for me that I need. And this, taking away a lot of independence has taught me a lot.
Yeah, I was going to ask now, like, how do you feel something as bad as this have actually maybe helped other people, or how as they've been? Obviously, it's like I don't know what good comes from an accident like this, but do you feel like there were some good positive things that happened after this?
If there were only some of these types of videos of me before, it's two different people. What has happened, I can give you an example. Like, I do construction. We build properties. We renovate houses. Yeah. And normally I would be so, I'm not sure of the word, but like edgy. I need to have things happen and they should happen now. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm just going to do it myself. And get out of my way. And now I can't do that.
Yeah.
I need to be able to explain myself. I need to use words.
Yeah.
I need to use patience. And that has been tremendously difficult.
Yeah.
But I have to say, everyone around me, I have the most amazing wife. I mean, she allows me to try and do everything myself at least. And she'll just help. Yeah. Like when going anywhere, going to a mall, going to any sports event or anything, she'll always like try and push me a little bit, but with it not looking like she's pushing me, because I don't want to be pushed. Yeah, I'm gonna propel myself.
Yeah.
But so with my brother and my parents and my wife, together with that whole thing, they make it possible.
That's amazing. You got the right people around you.
Yes, I didn't. I picked my wife, but the rest of them I didn't pick, and I'm lucky for that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. I think, like I said, we don't understand why things happen. How can you understand? Maybe at the very end of your life, you can go, okay, maybe I understand a little bit why this happened. Yeah, you know, how that has happened. I don't know if there's a why. I don't know. Maybe there is in the bigger scheme of things, but more like this that happened to me, how it actually was, you know, how...
Yeah, looking at the dots backwards, connecting the dots is a bit easier, because, you know, this wouldn't have happened if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I spoke to another guy last week on the podcast, and I told him, you know, it's probably the wrong question asking why me, because that is putting yourself on a pedestal.
Absolutely, because these things happens to the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is, why not me?
Yeah.
If it could have been you,
Yeah.
then why not me?
Yeah.
I should also be able to go through this difficulty. I should always also maybe be the one to suffer a bit.
Yeah. And I don't know, was there maybe something else in your future, or this sort of situation, you in the future without this? Sorry, this sounds very big and crazy thoughts, but
I like that type of consideration.
Was that maybe a why? Like LaRue 10 years from now, would it have been like...
But these are the types of things that you think about, because I've thought about, me and my wife have spoken about this, maybe this needed to happen for me to become the person that I am, and that is for now, and that is for something that might happen in the future.
Yeah.
But the way that we all think about these things, and the way I thought is, listen, most of my friends were living the exact same life as me.
Yeah.
Why did they not need to go to this drastic event to be able to shape them for the life coming? And we won't have answers to these questions, but I think I don't linger on those types of things. I just think, what must happen next?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're like, life still carries on, and you've got your people around you that you love, and, there's still blessings and there's still good things, and it could have been worse. It could have.
No, 100%.
And you're still able to live your life.
Yeah. What I also think is, it gives me a little bit of an edge. If we're just sitting here doing a podcast, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Now I'm the guy that has conquered being paralyzed.
Yeah.
If I play drums
it's
again...
It's inspirational,
Yeah, if I play drums again, I'm not just a drummer.
Yeah.
I'm a drummer in a wheelchair.
That's
awesome. Next level.
That is next level. But it's already next level. Like, it's obviously easy. Maybe you have been through those times where you like, just leave me alone. Like, I don't want to live.
I just don't take a video at that stage.
Yeah.
Because that's difficult for me. But
yes.
But I do feel that a lot of the times.
Yeah, and that's okay if you're still feeling it.
Yeah.
I mean, but you are still like, you still want to do shit. Sorry, you still want to do shit.
You snap out of it.
Yeah.
You snap out of it. Listen, I can't linger on this.
Yes.
I do feel emotional. I do feel sad. I do feel angry. Okay, but let's go on.
But all of those emotions is probably also good for your progression and who you are and what you are doing with your businesses, and it's important and it's good to feel things. It's better than not
just shutting them out. That will catch up with you at some stage.
But thanks for sharing that with me and everybody. But
it's a constant evolution, constantly changing, constantly. You know what I thought last month? I thought I had it figured out. That has changed again. It's not that anymore. It's now this, and it's just for what's happening at the moment. In my life.
I was talking about channeling songs, and you were just saying like what you thought last month. It's like no, it's changed now. But the other morning, in writing, there's something called flow state, and it happens sometimes. You don't even really realize it, but there's people that believe. You can learn to just go into that world, and it almost feels a little bit euphoric, and you're going to another place. Okay, so the other morning I sat and I just challenged myself to do a improv song, to write a improv or a free song, and people call it different things, but it's pretty much just playing and just singing what comes out. And in that moment, I felt like going into that flow state and just singing words and just carrying on with the song and just sitting there. And it felt like I went to like this beautiful, like beautiful grass, like blowing in the wind and trees. And like, I was definitely feeling like I'm in a different place for a moment. And I knew there was a beginning and the end of the song. But going through that journey in this flow state is an incredible feeling. Like this, I don't even know exactly what it is or where it comes from or what it is, but I think we are able to delve into places that's not just here, you know.
Yeah.
It's more and further than what we can think. But in that song, I wrote something like, or you know, what came to me was something like, I think it's like something like, I realized that I don't really know too much about anything, because this just we feels like we know so little bit actually in life, because like we're just this little thingy on one big ball that rolls around other big balls in the universe.
Quite insignificant.
Exactly. And it's not that I'd feel like we're not special or not loved, because that's not the place that you should go to when you think that you are insignificant. It's not that. It's just not saying that I don't know anything just means that I'm always learning and being teachable and always willing to grow and learn new things and be better is a good thing.
I also think that it has the ability to take a lot of pressure off.
Yeah.
When thinking of yourself as small and everything else is this massive thing. If you are stressed out about something that you need to do at 1 p.m. today, if you don't do that thing, most probably nothing will change. It's not going to have real impact on anything.
No.
Probably not even on yourself.
No.
And we actually give everything that we're busy with.
Yeah.
We give it a lot of power.
And that's totally true, because it's like it's more like look at what is really important in life. Like, don't fuss about, you know, it's like, don't sweat the small stuff. It's that sort of and you don't have to take everything so seriously. It feels like when you experience major things, like your friends that get cancer or somebody passing away, it just feels like you might forget for a moment and you let a little thing overpower you. But as soon as something just comes, it's like, just puts you back. Like, whoa, okay, this thing is like nothing. It's so small. Why am I bothered about that? There's really a lot more important things to be concerned about.
Yeah, I totally agree with that sentiment. We have gotten quite deep in this episode.
Good. That's great.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I wanted to ask you, how's it like dating someone that's also in the same industry? He does basically the exact same job. Yeah. But the only thing is, you're a front lady. He's not really a front man, Dion, right?
Not anymore. Like, he was in bands before, and they had a cover band that they still sometimes will play a show
Free
here
beer.
and there. Yeah. And him and his friend, they were both kind of like the frontman, and Grafi is obviously playing electric on the side. So he is an extrovert, and he's very much happy to be the life of the party if he needs to be. Because Craig, the guy that sang with him, he's also an introvert, but he's happy to sing in front of people. But Dee would kind of be like hey guys, let's go, and who wants to request a song? Yeah, and then, you know, so he's very good with that. He's very good with people, and for me, actually, something that I haven't said is that I've always wanted to make music, and I love singing, but I don't actually like the limelight. I'm not a limelight seeker. I'm not a performer. Hey, everybody, like, look at me. I'm not that sort of person.
You're not trying to get the attention on you all the time.
It's just music. I love being able to sing live, and I love creating music and putting it out there. But all of those things come along with the job, right? So, but I had to learn to communicate with people on stage and, you know, that sort of thing, and talking. And I would have been happy.
That interaction creates the bond between you and the audience.
Absolutely.
It's very necessary.
If I didn't work on that, it would have been a big problem. But for me, I would have been happy to sit on a chair with my eyes closed with a guitar and singing the whole show, sad songs, and that's my career, you know. But, you know, obviously also in the Afrikaans industry, it doesn't work like that. So I had to learn to write upbeat songs and be happy and get people going. But that's not really, that's part of the job. But for me, really, it's like, I'm not a limelight person. It's just comes with it. But you were asking me about Dee. So being in the same industry helps us to understand each other really well, and we can bounce songs off each other, and you can ask me what I think and I can do the same, and we can talk about our day and really understand each other's good parts and bad parts of what that meant. Financially, it's obviously like it's when you're a singer, a lot of the time you marry somebody that's not, or if you're in the industry, you marry somebody that's an accountant or doctor. So that's the hardest part. But D is like a provider person, so he's really trying to build what he's building for him and for me and him, and for him and Graf. It's a he's a, like I say, it's a provider, so he wants to make sure that we're okay. But in this industry, it's not like, it's a slow process. But I mean, D likes the business world, and he's wanting to learn the whole time. I'm not a business person. I'm very much like hands-on. Let's create something. Let's make something. But he helps me with that part. So those are the pros and cons, I'd say. But I am happy that it is like this. I'm happy that the people that we are, like the real people that we are, that the way that it worked out for the two of us as a couple, that we are in the same industry, and it's okay for us. We don't actually, there's things that we can do together, and there's things that we can't. We can't write together. We don't have the same ideas. And that's okay. It's been very minimally where I would walk in and say, what about this line? And he's like, yeah, I like that, or other way around. But we don't think the same in that capacity. But we love touring together. We love going to a show, driving somewhere, chatting and laughing as a couple.
He's a guitarist for you as well.
Yes, he plays guitar for me. So
yeah, I can just imagine. I mean, for musicians work when everyone else is not working. Yeah. They go to a show, they're relaxing, and you're going to work.
Yes.
I can imagine if your partner is not part of that.
Yeah.
You would totally miss each other.
And that's what happened when he played for Joe Black for 3 years. So we didn't see each other. I mean, we even had a moment where we broke up. But yeah, that I don't really count that in because it wasn't for that long. But that's what will happen. He was always away. So
you're living past each other, yeah.
Yeah, it was very hard. I only later on realized how lonely I actually had become. But that it wasn't his fault. This was a good opportunity for him. It was just
that was a step that he had to take in his career.
But you cannot carry on living like that. It will not work out.
I can imagine that. I think it's probably, I don't know if there's other careers that lend it to both partners doing that career. I mean, there's some people, teachers and so on, that also do it, but I don't think it's a good idea as well.
But a lot of people say, I will never be able to work with my partner. I will, But that's what I'm saying. We've learned in what capacities we can. We will talk to each other about, maybe don't meddle in here, whatever. It's like, okay, cool, sorry.
Leave this one for me.
Exactly.
You can have an input in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will say to him, if he's saying something to me about how he thinks it should work, then I would say either like, cool, thank you, or I would say, like, let me figure this out. Like, and other way around, he would say, you don't have to give your opinion yet. And it's like, okay, cool.
I'm very much that way as well. I want to put my stamp on things. I want to just do it. Yeah. There's multiple ways, especially for writing music.
Yeah.
There's so many ways. There's not a wrong and a right. You can literally just put your stamp on it and do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not music is subjective, I think you say.
Yeah.
So there isn't a right or wrong. If somebody might like something more than something else, but I can put a song out now, and you will not know what will happen to it. It's obviously there's, like we were talking about, the labels and how they operate and how they're the monopoly and how they work with their artist. But that's also commerce. That's not the art of it. But when you put something out, I think the most important is, for me, is that I want to put something out that it feels right to me. for me personally, I want to be 70 or 80 and go, I created that. Like, I did that.
I did it my way.
Yes. I feel it's very important. It's like you living out your heart. It's, you didn't do, like, I think it's, you can't copy something. It's not going to work long term. It's, and you're not going to feel good. I know I've spoken to artists that have said, I don't like my songs. I don't want to perform anymore. You know, I don't want to feel like that ever.
I can assume so. And like if a song blows up, you're going to be playing that song for the next 20 years. Every show it's going to be requested.
Exactly. And so that's the thing is make sure what you're putting out. Yeah, that's important to me.
I want to ask you on a last question. What song of yours is the closest to you? I'm going to listen to it afterwards.
Okay.
And you must tell me what it's about and why it's important to you.
Yeah. So this, obviously, it's, when I say I love all of my songs, it's because I've chosen a route where it's experiences from my life and other people's. And I try to honor that, you know, that the process and the experiences that we go through in life, and we can share that with each other, right? Like I said earlier. So there's been obviously different songs that I've had experiences or people close to me, and I love all of those songs. But usually when somebody asks me this question, it's the first one that comes to mind is Ek glo nog in jou, because
I know it very well.
Because that song, what happened with that song is we were in Cape Town during COVID, living with my brother, and so Dion, he's been here and he's spoken to you a little bit about his life, and he at that time he had been for therapy and he had been doing good, but he had a dip. So when we pretty much got to Cape Town in June, that's when it like just, I almost want to say effed out. It just like, you know, it was such a difficult time, and I obviously just tried to be there for him, just supporting him. And I was recording an album at the Spoegwolf House in Stellenbosch. They let me record there because we couldn't go into studios at the time. So they just had a home setup, and we were able to at least do that without people asking where you're going and what are you doing. So Dani was there the one day. It was the last Sunday morning I went to record vocals, the last few vocals, and that afternoon Dani was there, and I just said to him, I would love to write something with you, because you have to like say things to people, even if they don't want to do it, at least you know that you tried. And then sometimes they're going to say yes, like Dani said yes. And I sat with him at their restaurant the one day, because they used to have a restaurant, and he said, what do you want to write about? And I said to him, well, I've got this line, like it just keeps coming back to me, because our D is my partner's going through a difficult time with mental things, and I just want him to know that I still believe in him. And then Dani sat there and he just started like playing on his guitar, and he just started singing, and he just kind of led it with the verses, well, the first verse anyway. And so that's kind of, we had a first verse, and it's like, okay, this is beautiful, this makes sense to me. And obviously Dani, being a writer himself, he obviously wrote what felt right to him, but we didn't have a chorus yet. So I was like, okay. The one day I drove from Somerset West to Paarl, and it's such a beautiful drive. It was in the winter, but the sun had come out. It was just green and beautiful. And the chorus just came to mind, and it's like, kom maar huis toe, jy kan by my lê, kom maar ek sal jou vashou. And I recorded it on my phone. And obviously that just, the way that these things just come to you, I think is, for me, there was times when D was really not in a good space, where he would like lie rolled up on the bed. I know that he doesn't mind me sharing this, because it's, once again, sharing what other people are going through. I know that other people also go through these things, and I was just holding him, because that was all that I could really do, is just love him. And that, I think those were events that just formed into the words for the song. And then I played it to Donnie, and I was like, maybe we can use this as a bridge part, and he was like, no, that's definitely the chorus. And I was like, okay. And we finished the song in studio, me like recording my parts and him in another studio, and put it together. Grafi produced it in Secunda, I think. He was there at the time. And that song was very real, I think, to the both of us. And it's just something that we loved and that was real to us in our experiences. And we put it out into the world. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's to this day, it's one of mine, and obviously his, I think, most listened to songs. And I believe it's because it is real, and it comes from real events and things that we all go through and we can all relate.
I wanted to mention this song, but I think it would be arrogant of me to think of the one with the band that I like, Spoegwolf, would be the favorite. But that was on a playlist for me in the hospital and in the rehab, because that was the end of COVID, November 2020.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful song that also helped through a tough time with me and my wife.
I'm so grateful to hear that, because that's for me my purpose. That's why I don't want to write about just the things that's about partying, or life is more than just that. There's a place for that, and we should do that. But I think we should also write about the things that we go through, so that other people can go and say, "This, I get this." Me and my wife, or we get this. I've had couples and people say, "This is this is what helps me carry on doing what I'm doing." Because sometimes you feel like maybe this is. I've had many times when I've said, crying, maybe I should just not do this anymore. Maybe it's not making an impact. But then every time when I hear this, it's like, thank you. I can still carry on with this journey. So thank you.
No, thank you. That is a beautiful song. And I think there's only a couple of those that comes along now and again, and it really has an impact.
Yeah. But that's why it's important to put your experiences into songs. I think I would love it if everybody would do that. Like I say, do the songs that get people happy, and we all need that as well, right? But show all of your parts. Show people
also the difficult and raw emotions.
Yeah. That, because it helps people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Janie, this has been a lovely chat. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I think you set the bar quite high for all the female guests coming after you.
Yeah, just be real. Just share your story. That's what podcasts are for, I believe. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
You've been a tremendous guest. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Luru.
And we will do it again sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Janie.
Awesome.